So you can find the eating chicken. You know how to do that.
You want to go ahead and share?
Yeah.
You do desktop.
That's where you have it at. Just like another recording. Just
Non-mute.
just mute. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So. Oh, shit. Hello, pretty. How you doing?
Like your team was like falling apart until we were in that meeting.
Yeah. I've been stressed.
I'm sure.
It's been,
let me know if I can do anything.
Thank you. We're finally getting back together. I didn't realize how stressed I was until I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't know. I don't know if anybody else in high school knows.
We're pulling back. Everybody's coming back slowly. It's just okay. Art's is really sick and I'm really worried. He's back, but he's not good. Okay. So he's gonna be out.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, okay. We can do Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are now. It's 3:00, and we are ready to get started. Our meeting is currently in progress. And special thanks to Antonio Peterson for being our resident IT expert. Thank you, Antonio. That's his real job too, so we're happy to have him. That's his real job. Unlike us, we don't get paid for it. All right, I'm going to call us to order. In the interest of a very full schedule today, we're going to move quickly through this part of the meeting. But I do want to welcome our newest senator. We have Dr. Chris Burkett is right here, joining us from the College of Education. He is replacing a senator who unfortunately had to leave her position. And so we're excited to have you, Dr. Burkett. Thank you. And I think Beverly Johnson. Oh, Beverly Johnson. We forgot last time. Is back with us again. Thank you, Senator Johnson. Yeah. We were testing you out, but and you're good. You get to stay. Thank you. I can't tell you how much work is going on behind the scenes of this Senate. There is a lot happening. When we put you guys on committees, we knew it would be cool, but wow. If you haven't had the opportunity, please go to Teams and check out the things that are happening there on Teams. You can see a lot of what the other committees are working on. We'll have a chance today for some very brief comments if any of the co-chairs want to make it, but there's a lot happening there. And so I want to encourage you to do that. I'm going to check now. Do we have We feel like we have a quorum?
Yes.
Okay. The parliamentarian has informed me that a quorum has been established, so we're able to conduct business today. And so, as I said, we're going to move right into our speakers. And I don't see Julian here yet. So, Caroline, would you be willing to be our first speaker? No pressure. Joining us today is a recurring guest to the Staff Senate. We're always happy to have her. But Carolina Gardy is our Vice President for Human Resources, and we specifically asked her to join us today so that she could update us on some things that are going on, and then she is very kindly offered to answer questions as well. So as she's commenting, make sure to take down your questions, and we'll get to those. Thanks, Carol. I'm going to trade with you so it's not so crowded up here.
Thank you, Jill. It's great to be here with you again today. I'll take off this. Sorry.
We're getting a message that we only see the PowerPoint. So
Oh,
you don't have a
okay.
PowerPoint, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I
you're
had
fine.
one. I didn't send it over.
No. You're good. You're good. Antonio, I'll just open the Teams window and turn this off. Okay, I guess it's coming up. I just need to ask the usually there's a stop. Oh, stop sharing.
Yeah.
There we go. Tyson, can you ask if they can see?
Just see that, yes, not the camera.
Okay, great.
Now we can this one. Not the speaker.
Oh, okay. Need to see. That area. There it is. Then, that's what it is. Turn that.
Yeah.
Yep, we're good.
Thanks again. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. As Shelley said, I'm always happy to answer questions, but I wanted to give you a few updates today, and then we can open up the floor for questions. Some of you may know that we sent out something in the employee, the supervisor newsletter last week, just a little bit more of enhancement on the success criteria for supervisors so that they're held accountable for actually doing performance evaluations, which they've always been accountable for, but other things that we added to that job duty and success criteria so that supervisors could do a better job and be held accountable for that better job. So we sent that out. We also looked at our turnover rates for last year and actually the last 6 years. And I think I told y'all last time that they may have jumped up, or I've been telling a lot of groups that they jumped up to 14% for classified employees last fiscal year. For unclassified staff, it was 15.42%. On the faculty side, it was 5.01. Faculty tends to hover around between 2 and 3%, and staff has always been around 7 to 8%, but the last few years it has jumped up considerably, and so we are working to figure out, I know in a lot of industries it's that way for this past year, the COVID year, and we're going to try to figure out things that we can do to ensure that if people are leaving, we know why they're leaving. You know, are they not feeling that they belong? Are they not feeling appreciated? All those things, you know, in addition to just saying, you know, your reason for leaving is personal, and then you really don't know why they decided to leave. It may be a lot deeper than just personal, or took another job. Why were they looking for the other job? So we're going to be working on that this year. The class and comp study is moving along. I did want to report that we have our first advisory committee meeting tomorrow. We have sent out with the meeting invite 3 different documents for them to look at, proposals for a pay philosophy. And so that'll be something that we will have this committee decide and vote on. And then we also have some information we want to share with them and get some decisions made by that committee in our meeting tomorrow. In terms of telecommuting, as many of you know, we finally were able to get out our policy in August. It took us building some tools with that, updating the agreements, and also we socialized the policy a lot before it went out. There has to be a cost savings and efficiency measure in there when when departments are sending those telecommuting agreements in. But we also allowed two different versions of how to do this. One would be at the division or the college level, where someone can decide that they want a department by department to have telecommuting, or they can do an individual telecommuting for their entire department, or a hybrid or combination of the two. So that's something that the plans, if they do a department plan, for example, if you just want your department to be telecommuting, even if it's 1 day a week or 2 days a week, and it's only selected staff, then we have to get those plans approved by state HR. But on an individual basis, we will just collect those at our level and at the university HR department. We'll review them just like the state does and make sure they comply with the policy. But that is out and running. We notified leadership first with all this information, and they were able to tell us whether or not they wanted to do one of those approaches within their department, so that we were able to assist them when they start sending the plans over. But some departments are just doing individual. A lot of them are doing a combination of the two. This does not include telecommuting for ADA purposes or short-term telecommuting. If somebody's child is out because the school closed and they can work remotely, then again, it doesn't require a formal agreement for that. They can telecommute as long as their supervisor and the employee can get the work done from home. The other thing I wanted to comment on is the benefits that I've told you about last time. We're going to offer 4 new benefits in November. We're going to have an open enrollment for those benefits. One is a universal life / long-term care policy. We also have a short-term disability policy, an accident policy, and then we have a critical illness policy. So those will be rolled out in November. Our broker has other family kind of friendly benefits, such as things like pet insurance or legal kinds of things, maybe even a discount program. So we'll be looking at other benefits in the spring to be able to offer as well. And Megan came up to me prior to the meeting, so maybe we can work with your committee on those kinds of things and products that might be good to offer through our new broker that we did recently. I guess the only other thing I had to add was I think that was those were my topics. But if y'all have questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions or get in depth in terms of telecommuting or other kinds of things that are out there.
If you could just repeat the question
Okay.
before we answer it.
Rolling out in November, will there be information during the open enrollment period in October for employees to know about those plans?
We're not going to do it until the end of October, right before the rollout. We don't want to confuse it with the state's PIBA enrollment. What we want to do is keep those separately. Kelly had asked about, will we get out the materials in October? We will get them out toward the end of that, but we want to brand it differently. We want to make sure that people know it's PIBA versus these supplemental benefits that we are offering at the university. Regarding PIBA insurance, that was the thing I kept going. Something I didn't write down. We have received information that our health insurance rates are not going up for this year, but they are going to go. I mean, insurance premiums are not going up for this year, but they will go up slightly for vision care and also dental plus. I just looked at single only. One of them was 14 cents. The other one was 64 cents. Percentage wise, it's going to be, they said it was a slight increase. So I didn't look at full family for those, but they will go up just a tad this, and that would start in January, where the premium would go up a little bit. The employer share is going up, so the university will be paying more for our health insurance through PIBA this next year. Any other questions? Yes.
Bo Hart from Charlotte School of Business. Folks at the business school are asking how long the telecommuting forms will take for approval.
Okay, the question was, how long will telecommuting forms take for approval? The individual forms that come to our office will not take but a couple of days. We're probably going to delegate those out once we see that there's a pattern of showing the efficiencies and the cost savings. The plans for the state, we sent over some last week. We sent over 3 last week. They turned them around within a week. They even needed more information. We thought they needed more information, but to be honest with you, one had tons of information, one had very little, and one was kind of the in-between. And I said, send them all as is. We want to see how much they're going to make us give before we give them more information. So we're trying to gauge that. As we gauge it, we're also going to create even more tools out there to help people understand what they're looking for, because they are looking for cost savings, but you can also have cost savings through turnover and things like that. There were some examples given, I think, by one school or college, and they didn't quite go far enough to show that some other cost savings can be through other methods other than your costs for your building or your computers. It can be projected costs for turnover. Yes.
Roy Sims with the facilities department. Is there are you guys planning on like publicizing which method of leave each department has chosen or selected?
We have that. The question was about telecommuting again, and which approach are departments or divisions choosing. I think that's a good idea, that when we get all these, to put them on the website, which one is being done, and maybe the contact person in the department. To be honest with you, we haven't thought about that. We did have them let us know early so that we knew when an employee called, we could at least tell the employee, oh, your department's only doing department, or your department's doing a combination. So because we do have a lot of employees that don't want to ask their department sometime and want to come to HR. So we did get those in advance, and so we can tally those up. That's a great suggestion. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Hey, Liz House School of Law. So just so I better understand this, because we haven't submitted any these yet. We were planning to do the individual plan. Does each individual need to justify a cost savings, or is it at the school level that we need to assess the cost?
A lot of times you can do it at the school level and kind of dictate that, okay, at the school level, if we're saying computers are going to be saved X amount, this is the amount you're to use on that individual form. And then we wouldn't have to see those forms. That's what we're trying to get at, is some kind of aggregate numbers that they could be done at the department level if you're not having to rent space or those kinds of things. But sometimes they aren't as easy as that, and smaller departments have to do it on an individual basis. But to the extent somebody can actually project that in the School of Law, that would be great to do, Liz. Thank you for that question about, I'm sorry I didn't repeat that one, but that was really about can the cost savings that was on the individual, can that be aggregated at the department level or the school level, and therefore you don't have to do it on an individual basis. And we're encouraging that. We have seen a number of other websites after we got ours out. We were moving so fast to not looking at those kinds of things like we normally do, but quite frankly, we've seen some of that in other places, and we're going to develop tools probably on a weekly basis to put more and more information out. Somebody said to me, I will say anecdotally, somebody said to me, okay, if you show all these cost savings, is the state going to end up cutting our budget that way? And I was like, I don't think that was the purpose. And some of them are very small cost savings that you redeploy for other things. Yes, ma'am.
Would be a difference for music, but I'm asking for Shannon Ellis from Greenville School of Medicine. She said, where can we find a resource for ADA exemptions for telecommuting for staff?
Where can you find a resource for ADA?
But the ADA telecommuting.
That's on an individual basis that you have to do. It's not we don't use the telecommuting form. When somebody is asking for a reasonable accommodation because of the Americans with Disability Act, we actually go through an interactive process with that person to ensure that whatever accommodation we're making meets the needs of that individual and is what the department and our school will do that's going to be to benefit both parties. And so that's really kind of an individual thing that could be then result in a document that says this is the reasonable accommodation we're giving, but we're not making them fill out forms, prove cost savings, or any of those kinds of things. It really is no different than it's always been for the ADA accommodation. Anything else? Yes.
Lauren, just to follow up on Liz's question, are you saying if we did want to do cost savings at the department level, you would prefer a department agreement, or would that then translate to individual?
If you're going to do it at a department level, we want that department to show the cost savings for the entire department. What I was really saying, if we say that in a department that, to avoid having a land phone, you're going to save, I don't know what it is, but $45 a month, then that could be a cost that the department shares with everybody who fills out those individual forms. You can predetermine those cost savings if you do it that way. Does that make sense? Okay.
Thank you very much, Jen.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll have you back again.
Thank you.
And I just want to add that Caroline and her staff are doing a lot of work on our behalf. I've been here a long time at the university. I've never seen so many new projects, new committees, new opportunities, looking for ways to serve the staff of this university. I think it was happening before we knew there was going to be a large turnover, but if it ends up helping that, even better. So there are lots of opportunities. We'll be calling on you all to be involved in that as well. So thank you, Caroline, for what you're doing. Our next speaker is Julian Williams, also a repeat performer for us here at Staff Senate, and he is the Vice President for DEI, and we're so thrilled to have him. Come on up.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see all y'all's faces. It's obscured with masks as they are, but I'm glad to see everybody. I'll be happy to take some questions. Some of the things I'm going to talk about are going to be just sort of reminders on things that I've mentioned before. We'll be glad to take some questions, and then you all can sort of move forward with your agenda. Just one quick update, as I've talked through before, is just keeping on your radar the Social Justice Awards, which are given out during the Martin Luther King Day celebration on behalf of the university. So if you've got somebody in your unit or a colleague that has been working tirelessly to bring folks together, to raise the level of conversation here at the university, to create the type of affirming and equitable environment and campus that we all desire, nominate them, because I think one of the things that we can and should do more of is recognize those individuals that are change agents on our campus. So what we hope to do is to have a slate of nominees for our Social Justice Awards that also reflect our staff, because we know the roles that each of you all play from a number of perspectives on campus. So if you're looking for the nomination form, you can visit my office's website. It's right there. You can, it's not too arduous. Just ask you to tell us a little bit about your colleague or the person that you're nominating and why. Submit your information, so you can do that right online through my office's website. Another initiative that I've talked about to you all before, and exciting because we've gotten about 4 applications in across the university so far, is our Diversity and Inclusive Excellence grants. Those grants are up to $2,000 for students, faculty, and staff members that want to do workshops, programs, or events that are really in line with the goals and values of my office, to bring people together, to provide professional development, discussion, workshops built around equity, inclusion, and diversity. So if there is a program or something across the unit or within your unit that you would like to do, or an initiative, and you're looking for some extra funding, be sure to check that out. We've gotten about 4 applications in so far. Some of them have been really great. The folks in our athletics are going to do some programming around LGBTQ plus pride. We've got some folks in the School of Music that are going to do some event planning around intersectionality, utilizing jazz as the medium, one of my favorite genres of music. So as you all are in conversation amongst your units, or even thinking about what's happening in your areas, just know that there is some funding available for programming coming out of my office. Another point that one of my staff members, one of my team members, asked me to raise with you all is, if you haven't gotten a chance to hear from my colleague, Dr. Karen Kassabaum, who is our Director of Diversity Education and Inclusive Excellence, she's great. She's going to make me look really smart by hiring her because she's pretty awesome. But one of the things that she's looking to do is to come up with a team of subject matter experts amongst our faculty and staff that have expertise, maybe a research area in diversity, equity, and inclusion. So if you have, or you know someone, or if we have staff members that have expertise or an educational background in this area, would like to maybe participate in training, would like to maybe participate in a train the trainer, please reach out to her. So that's, she asked me to remind you all of that, to encourage you all to reach out directly to her. Her name is Dr. Karen Kassabaum. And she would love to know sort of where our expertise levels are amongst our staff to be able to think about who might be able to be a train the trainer or an advocate, as she's doing a lot of professional development as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion at the university. And then just a couple of last things. One is sort of championing my colleague Carolina Gardy and the work that our Human Resources Department is doing. So one of the initiatives you all will be hearing a little bit more about over the next coming weeks and months is our recruitment and selection redesign project, which is really going to take a look at recruitment and selection and thinking about how we're structured in that area, the skills and competencies that we offer to search committees in those areas, and really trying to streamline that, get a ton of voices at the table. So my office, EOP, the provost's office, HR, and others are really working on that initiative. And there's also, I think, going to be a need for and room for staff input in that, because as we know in this time, and I think one of the most important things we do as a university is hire people. And, you know, if your areas are anything like mine, you know, we've got a need. There's a ton of openings. We're always going to be looking to recruit great individuals to come work with us. So really excited to be working with Caroline on that. And then in that same vein, what we know and what I've heard from a number of folks on our staff and academic units is that, as you all know, last year we were in a hiring freeze. This year, a lot of folks are hiring, and they've been coming to me in my area to say, hey, you know, we are hiring. We want to do more from a diversity perspective to make sure that those that we're hiring reflect the community, reflect our students, faculty, and staff, reflect our values. So Julian, can you help us? So my office is going to be launching a series of workshops for faculty and staff designed to discuss and provide strategies for recruiting a diverse faculty and staff. So we're in the process of solidifying locations. There's going to be one in a couple of weeks, and then 1-2 weeks after that. And we'll probably have a couple more just sort of rolling sessions this semester. So I'll be sure once we get those solidified to give those to either Rashandra or to Shelly, so she can let you all know they're going to be open sessions. So feel free if you have search committees, if you're serving on one, or you're just looking for information to bring back to your unit from there. So those are the things I wanted to just bring to you all's attention. Happy to take any questions that you all might have, and if not, I will turn it back over.
I'm sure they're gonna have questions. And when they do, if you could repeat the question for our
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Will do, Shelly.
Okay.
Yes.
Are they going to do another faculty staff climate survey or even a student climate survey in the coming year?
Yes. So one of the open positions that there's two. It depends on two ways you look at climate surveys. Obviously, we did the Modern Think survey, which is surveying our workforce. That was happening through our HR department. But then, as I think about the climate survey or climate based around diversity, equity, and inclusion, that is also going to be an endeavor that my office picks up. So one of the positions that we are in the process of searching for now is our assistant director for assessment and analytics, who's going to be housed in my office, who's going to be leading that work. So the question was around climate surveying, and is that going to be something that we shoot to do? And absolutely, and we're looking to fill some staffing needs in that area in my office. Any other questions? All right. Yes.
I just wanted to note that if you didn't know, Parker White, who had the game-winning field goal against East Carolina, is a proud member of the athletics department DEI committee. So not only is it a good thing to do, but you get richly rewarded outside of it.
Tyson, thanks. And maybe that was partly why he led us to victory last Saturday. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much, y'all. And I'll stick around as well just to hear some of the things you all are talking about. Thanks, Ellen. Yeah.
And I'll just add that Julian has shared that he really feels like, he may regret this after I announce it, but as we're working with things with his office, he is perfectly comfortable with co-chairs coming directly to his office. He feels no need that you go through exec to work with them. They are fully vetted and ready to work with us in any way that they can. So certainly take advantage. Some of the committees already have been doing that. So thank you for your partnership. Okay, next up, we've got all the big names today. We have Dr. Jason Stacy is with us, and he is, among several things, is our interim chief health officer. And that's why he's here today. And he has some slides, if we could get some help with those. Rashondra, you're the best. Thank you, Dr. Stacy, for being here.
Don't say that too quickly. I don't know. You get your slides up and running.
You're better than me. What's that?
I gotta make sure I'm picking the right one. So this is wrong,
That
right?
would not be mine.
Yeah, that's wrong.
If I can just start
Go
a
ahead,
little
you
bit.
can
I'll
start.
just introduce myself. I've been employed here at this university for going on 18 years now. I was originally with the School of Medicine, Department of Family and Sports Medicine. I am a sports medicine doctor. I've worked over at Student Health, now University Health Services, for about the last, going on 8 years. These last 3 months, 3 and some change, I've been very immersed into COVID as the person who's the new Chief Health Officer and Vice President for Health and Wellbeing. So today I'm going to talk, give you an update on what's going on with COVID on campus, because that's the theme of just about everything I talk about these days, unfortunately. But I'll be talking about that, and thankfully I've got better news to present today than what we've been doing leading up to this. A lot of it we're concerned about some things, and I've got a little bit of good news to share, and then I'm going to leave time to be able to answer your questions as well. So how do I advance the slides? Is there, or just want me to hit the, there, I can do it that way. That works just fine.
But I'm hearing that it's not shared. So one second. It's always something. Bring this back up.
Sure.
So sorry.
Well, anyways, this, you want me to wait till you get it up for the people at home?
Yeah, the people at home are
Messaging and
telling us,
saying
they're
they
saying we
see.
can't, exactly.
Okay, I will pause.
Okay.
Unless people have any questions, well, or maybe wait until I go through, because maybe I'll cover it in the slides before we open it up for questions.
Should share now.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And yes, you can advance.
Okay. Well, this slide is pretty basic. You all know about the mask mandate and everything like that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but that was actually really a game changer for us, being able to help mitigate the spread. And I'm going to share some numbers very soon. We've also been trying to do physical distancing where we can. We realize it's not possible in every place on campus. Promoting vaccination is something else that I'm going to talk about, and that was one of the things he wanted me to talk about, Garnet and Vax, and that's a great program I'm going to spend a little bit more time talking about in a moment. And then our monthly COVID testing is something I want to share. This is the good news. And so the screen that's displaying right there, the green is last year, testing wise. The black and the garnet colored numbers are what we've done this year. So we've tested over 10,000 more individuals on campus, yet our positive number is half of what it was last year at this time. So a lot of people were freaking out, and to be honest, I thought we were going to have a much greater surge at this point in time. So I'm very pleasantly optimistic about where we are right now in time. The other thing, we have half as many cases as we had last year that are, when we take our total testing, that's that number in the bottom right, because that takes into account what we're doing on campus, but then some students, faculty, and staff are testing elsewhere and then uploading their data and their documents. So we're half as many as last year. The contact tracing that my department is doing, we're also, that's happening very rapidly. And at times we've had 80 to 100 cases come in on one day, and yet they're still able to contact trace every individual. And that's 1,319 people, because we're also including those individuals that have been exposed within 48 hours. 92% of them are getting taken care of. And it's a very labor intensive exercise because you have to contact each person, find out where they've been, who they've been around, what classes they've been in, and then contact the people that they've been around. The game changer right now is the vaccines, because if you're vaccinated and you've been exposed to somebody else who's positive, you don't have to quarantine right now. You just need to monitor your symptoms, keep track of yourself, still continue to wear your mask, be smart, get tested within the next 3 to 5 days, and take care of yourself. And so that's actually really, really helpful for us and really, really helpful for campus. This is our last week's testing, and this is about to be pushed up to the dashboard. Again, looking at, we're getting very, very good compliance from our campus as far as this testing. We tested 8,000 students and a total of 9,700 people on campus this last week. Our percent positive rate is actually going down rather than going up. When you look at South Carolina, the percent positive rate is 12.3%. Richland County's 8%. Ours was 3.2 this last week. Granted, we are testing a lot of asymptomatic people, but I'm still very pleased that we're not seeing that number trickle up. If you looked at the last slide, at one point, well, even for the first 6 weeks of last year, we had a 12% positivity rate on campus. So very different numbers than what we saw last year. And that's likely because of our Garnet and Vax program and all, well, that, but also the number of individuals who have gotten themselves vaccinated. This is our data that we've been, the chart that you're looking at right there shows that on campus total right now we're 64.7% vaccinated, which also I'm very proud to be able to present that to you. And I think that's why we've been able to do really well with keeping track of COVID-19 on campus. Staff members are 64%. Students are right at 64 too, so you're competing with them right now. These are people who have uploaded their cards. So if you have not uploaded your card to us and told us that you're vaccinated, you're counted as being unvaccinated. Just want to put that out there. We don't have any other better way to do that than if you send us our information. It's in a HIPAA compliant medical record system. Everyone sitting in this room is already registered in that system, so you're already in there. We just want to put that in there so we can keep that as a record and count you as being vaccinated. So actually, why am I sitting here talking with this mask on? Because it's probably muting me and you probably can't hear very well. So anyways, our educational program, Garnet and Vaxxed. The beginning of that program is really to help awareness of campus and help educate people that vaccination is okay. It's not something that you need to be worried about. The overall goal is to help increase the spread of getting more needles out on campus and helping us mitigate this COVID-19 pandemic. It's a group effort. It was put together by staff at University Health Services, the group of communications individuals. We involved IT, the graduate students, undergrad students, and university housing. All were involved in putting this program together. The incentive program is meant to help people that are sitting on the border trying to think, do they want to do this, and help, maybe motivate them to go ahead and get that vaccine. We've seen a lot of students say that that's helped them make a decision, but we've also given away quite a few prizes, not only to students, but also to faculty and staff. There's $1,000 travel awards or equipment for rooms. There are meal plans, $250 meal cards. We've given away to faculty and staff members autographed footballs by Shane Beamer, autographed basketballs from Frank Martin. There are things coming out each week that are being given away to people who have uploaded their cards. It's not just new people getting vaccinated, it's everybody who's uploaded their cards is eligible for one of these Garnet and Vaxxed incentive programs. So anyways, that is the majority of what I wanted to present today. It's just a little snapshot of what's going on. I'm happy to take questions because I'm sure there probably are many, but go ahead and let me know if there's any questions that you have about what I presented or our policies. Yes?
Christine Sheeling, College of Information and Communication. One of my colleagues wanted me to inquire about the staff number, if we were going to do anything else as an incentive or because we are hanging there with the students. And another question, Is the university going to administer a third vaccine for individuals?
I can cover both of those. I'll just start with the third vaccine. Right now, we're still waiting on the recommendations, the overall guidelines, because what we've been doing all along is just following the guidelines, the CDC and the FDA guidelines. And right now, that's still being debated. What is the best thing? And I can, spout all kinds of medical stuff about what, but it's really debating whether we should continue to vaccinate people who've already been vaccinated or focus our efforts on getting people vaccinated, not only in this country, but around the world, because every one of those variants that has started in another country. And that happens because variants occur when the virus is allowed to replicate, and then you get these variants, and then they develop, and then they spread to us and to other parts of the world. So some of the thought process is, should we focus our efforts on getting vaccines out to the whole public, or do we need to booster our population? I don't know that that's been determined yet, but those are the two sides of the coin. So boosters, yes, we will, but we're going to wait until we get recommendations and overall guidelines, because that's the only thing we really know to follow. The other question was incentives for staff members. We're happy to do more things. The educational component is a big part too. So if there's places where that there's people who are underrepresented on the vaccine list, we're happy to send people out and have discussions. But as far as incentives, there's not plans for doing more than what's out there. And the incentive plan does continue up until Thanksgiving. So it's an ongoing process, and we're trying to make sure that we had enough uptake to continue it for the whole semester. Sure.
Hi, Kelly Bain from Student Affairs. Can you talk a little bit about the flu vaccine and what the plans are for the campus for rolling that out to faculty and staff and students, and how quickly people should be considering getting that vaccine also?
Great question. We have been, actually just we're talking about it today. We've got a whole bunch of messaging that's going to be coming out very soon. Usually October, November is when we start really kind of pushing the flu vaccine. You want to make sure that you've got enough coverage into the flu season. And, last year was the best flu season on record because of the masks and because of physical distancing and because of all the mitigation strategies we were doing. This year may be a little different because there are still mitigation strategies, but we do want to make sure we get people vaccinated with the flu vaccine. So it will be coming out. You'll see messaging. It's going to be similar, similar to what we've done in the past regarding the flu vaccine. So we'll get that information out. There'll be those flu pods, and we'll have those as well. We still want to make sure we're able to do both vaccines and make sure that we separate them for people so they know which one they're getting. But we're going to continue both, if that answers the question. I think you're next.
I think as time goes by, more and more people are interested in what the threshold will be to alleviate having to wear a mask or any of the other measures in terms of the vaccine percentage and the testing.
Yeah. The question was. No, I know. The question was about a threshold for doing away with masks and whatnot. I wish there was a number like that I could tell you. I wish there was one that was quoted somewhere. I know it seems like a moving target. Early in the pandemic, we're talking about herd immunity and different things and where that was. And I know it seems like the carrot keeps moving further out, but I'd be lying if I told you there was an exact number. I know Clemson said they were going to do that 3-week mask, and then they've actually extended it. We felt that it was better just to say we have a mask mandate until we can take it away. And we will as soon as we can, but right now I don't think it's the time just yet. So that's the honest answer. There's another question. You guys both raised at the same time.
Can you clarify when someone's vaccinated and they get exposed to someone who's got COVID or they are positive for COVID, why they don't have to quarantine? Did I get that right? They don't have to quarantine.
I'll try and clarify. So vaccinated versus unvaccinated with exposure. Either way, if that person tests positive, they need to isolate. 10 days, we have to get them out of the camp. We don't want them to continue spreading it. We do know people who are vaccinated spread it for a lesser period of time, and they're less contagious because they're producing less of that virus that they're coughing out and sputtering everywhere. But if you're vaccinated and exposed to a person, let's say in class, or you're sitting next to a colleague at work who you find out test positive the next day, and they say, you know, I tested positive, you may want to get yourself tested. If you're vaccinated, you do not need to quarantine. You should monitor yourself for symptoms, and if you do develop any kind of symptoms, you absolutely should go get tested. In addition, it's recommended that you go get tested within the next 3 to 5 days just to be safe and make sure that you're not going to transmit it to more people. The overall goal of this is mitigating the spread. And with campus being, you know, fully densified, it's a more challenging thing than the way it was last year, where we were able to, we didn't have all the students here. We were all physically distancing from each other. And so it's really, we're trying to keep the spread at a minimum. Did that answer the question? Okay.
I had a testing question.
Okay.
I've heard anecdotally, like if you have a kid who needs to test to return to school and you show up at home for the day, you guys maybe test them. I just wondered if that was true, or if you were considering expanding and put that in to relatives and staff as you kind of expand the mission of health.
Great question as well. We're trying to do the majority of testing through the College of Pharmacy, through our safe saliva-based testing, because we really put our resources into expanding that. And we're testing at 3 different locations, Monday through Friday. We've even increased the hours over at the Synovis, being at 7:30 in the morning to allow faculty and staff or graduate students who work to come in and get tested early. So we're trying to only do symptomatic testing through University Health Services, because our lab has been inundated with really just the day-to-day work that it required for doing medical care, and then the symptomatic people, and people are still getting strep, people still need to have their cholesterol and have other labs drawn. So we've tried to shift that burden to the College of Pharmacy. So the answer is really no. And the other reason for that is there are so many places to get free testing around town right now, different than last year, where it was so hard to find an adequate and realistic test or reliable test that we tried to expand that. And so, you know, the LabCorp, you can be tested, you can get a home kit, Walgreens, CVS has testing, DHEC has mobile places. I just got an email from Richland too, because that's where my kids go to school, that they're offering testing over the mall over by Dent Middle School. I can't remember which one, Columbia Mall. So they're offering testing over there. So there's so many different places to be tested now that we've tried to remove ourselves from that portion.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Christine Shealy again, College of Information and Communication. So I went to have my antibodies tested, because I was hoping that I had it, didn't know about it. And I was told that they're not doing that at the Health Service Center anymore. And if I wanted it, I would have to pay a fee. Is that for the same reason that you're just trying to keep everyone COVID-related?
More so, the rationale is it's not as useful of a test to do at this point. We've come to find, because your antibodies, we don't know how protective that, or how much protection that gives you, nor do we know how long it lasts. So we don't want to give people false senses of security, but also the funding has gone away for that. So we can't offer it for free anymore anyway. So it's more of a academic type of a test at this point that doesn't carry a lot of clinical utility. So we've tried to shy or move away from it. It's really not a recommended test anymore if you read the literature. Any other questions? Great questions, everybody. They're really excellent questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And as usual, if any questions come up after the fact that you need to ask our speakers, I'm sure they'll take your questions directly, or I can compile a list of continuing questions if you want to send those to me. We are going to go backwards a little bit on the agenda now and do some business that I completely skipped over. If everybody's had a chance to review the full staff meeting minutes, the last one that we had in person, we want to make sure there's any corrections or additions or that we can approve them. So any motions to approve the August minutes? So moved. Can I? Right, Culpepper. Can I get a second?
Seconded.
Right here, Brian. And then if you'll remember, we had a virtual meeting that my colleague, Senator James, did a phenomenal job of leading up. And I want to thank Senator Hilson for her help in allowing us to do that online. That was a very difficult process for us. And then, as always, our parliamentarian for his wealth of knowledge there. So we want to make sure that we approve those special meeting minutes. And so if someone could move for that, please. Okay.
Make a motion.
What? All in favor of what? Oh, all in favor of approving the minutes, the first one. I'm like, what? Sorry. They're in favor. They're good. All in favor of approving the virtual meeting minutes? Thank you. See, I told you. Y'all make this so hard. Okay. I'm going to use this because I've got my chairs listed on here. So are we at that point now?
So I think what you have to do for your shares, stop, you have to stop sharing, it won't, and then you gotta stop share and then reshare the other PowerPoint, that makes sense.
I feel like you abandoned me.
There it is, press the arrow at the bottom. On the taskbar.
Yeah, this is way easier at my computer in my office than it is sitting right in here. Which
I know, desktop window. Desktop window. Yep, and then click your PowerPoint, yep, share. There you go.
are we on there?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna move through. See, look at you. I like it. We're gonna move quickly through these, but we're gonna let our committees report today on any business. And Johnny on the spot right here, ready to go.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Senator Berry with Division of Admin and Finance, and I'm reporting on the membership committee meeting that we had on August 31st. So we have a few open items that we are still discussing. Senator vacancies and resignations. And so we've developed a list of suggestions that we have submitted to the bylaws committee, and we're still in process of reviewing those. We also discussed the Senator Recognition Staff Awards. That was a request from the executive committee. I will be contacting you some more about that. But the thought process behind it was there's a need to advise the Board of Trustees of the importance of our staff. And so we are coming up with some suggestions as to how we can deal with that. And as an aside, we talked about a Senate newsletter. It was recommended that a Senate newsletter be developed, maybe on a quarterly basis, and that would highlight some of our accomplishments. And we're going to be talking with the Communications Committee about that. Let's see. We also talked about officer elections, timelines, filling vacancies, and the process for senators to submit resignations, coming up with a formal process. And so we will be presenting those hopefully at the next meeting. Let's see. I think that's about it.
Thank you. I'll let them come up here and do it. And I will breathe elsewhere over here. So this is our communications committee.
Hi, everyone. Bailey Watts from the College of Arts and Sciences. We just have a few quick updates on behalf of the Communications Committee. The first being, everyone should have received copies of your headshots from a member of the Communications Committee, and we'll be adding those to our Staff Senate website very soon. If you did not approve of your headshot, please make sure that you send us an alternative one as soon as possible, or we can also let you know how to schedule a new photography session. At our next meeting, we are going to meet with Senator Katie Washington from the Professional Development Committee to discuss sharing PD opportunities and resources across campus. And we're also going to review the results of that survey we sent out, and thank you all for participating in that. We received a total of 32 responses. And we're also working on an official Staff Senate logo, and a draft is available on our Teams channel. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is the staff policy and well-being. You have stopped weirdly behind you.
You're good. Thank you. Hey, everyone. Megan Colastione here, representing on behalf of Janae and I in the Policy and Wellbeing Committee. We have put out a call out for you to work with your constituents to get feedback on the staff benefits that is here at USC. But what we really want to know with our group is, what benefits do you all love and do your constituents love, wish we had, as well as maybe other examples from institutions if there are some that have them in play. And so if you could email, or not email, Teams, drop it in our chat for the Policy and Wellbeing group, or you can send it directly to any of our members. We will be discussing this in the coming months. We'll be working with Caroline and her team with HR just to help represent the benefits that we would like added and or endorsed just by the Staff Senate to move forward. So we are focusing in that realm for the next few months. So if you can get me that information from your constituents, I would say we've been saying September 30th for at least the Division of Student Affairs. But if you need a little more time, please let me know, because we do know that we have a lot of staff represented kind of out in all the buildings and a lot of trades work. So we want to make sure we have time to get their input as well. Does anyone have any questions for our group? Awesome. Thank you so much. And please reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you. All right, Professional Development Committee.
Hello, thank you for the time to speak about the Professional Development Committee's work. We've been very busy. We've had a couple of meetings, but first I'd like to highlight the Microsoft Teams training held on September 18th. A special thanks to Senator Morgan for coordinating and Senator Duvall for leading the training. We had good participation. The training was recorded. The link is now posted in the general Teams channel. And there are some additional informational resources with links there. So please take a look at those and let Barry know if you have any additional questions or needs. And we're hoping to have another training in spring of 2021 as needed, and a date will be determined later. Also, we met with Nathan Strong and his team from the Office of Organizational and Professional Development. I've placed an executive summary in the reports for the exec committee discussion folder in the Teams channel, but some takeaways that you might be interested in. Due to staffing shortage and limited resources, their office is unable to expand current professional development offerings or develop new offerings at this time, except for offerings provided by their partners, such as University Health Services. They're working with IT to provide some additional Microsoft Teams training as well in the future. It would be helpful to have one location for all of the different training opportunities and development opportunities available on campus. And so we would like to explore that way of having that done. Opportunities for the Staff Senate to collaborate with the Office of Organizational and Professional Development by promoting their upcoming events and workshops, communicating to them training needs that we learn about from our constituents, advocating for a procurement of an integrated learning management system or talent management system to be used concurrently with HR and the Office of Organizational and Professional Development and others who provide training on campus, and to advocate for coaching conversations trainings and train the trainer type platforms, which would be needed in anticipation of continuous feedback structure for the EPMS. We also met with Julian Williams and Dr. Cassabaum from the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And again, there's an executive summary available, but some takeaways. We're glad to be able to work together, and he covered some of these already, but reminders about the excellence grants. And please nominate your fellow staff members for the MLK Social Justice Awards. And if you have areas of expertise that you think would be useful, Dr. Cassabaum would love to hear from you. We may develop a survey and send that out so you can just put it all in one document. I think that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. I told y'all there's been a lot going on behind the scenes. All right, next up, community project.
Good afternoon, everyone. Joe Fortune with Student Affairs and Academic Support, one of the co-chairs for the Community Projects Committee. Brief update from us. Our last meeting was on August 18th at 9 a.m. and all committee members were present. Our guest speaker was Jabari Broderick with the Student Leadership and Service Center. And we really invited him in to learn more about the Gamecock Pantry. And he shared a lot with us in terms of how demand really is exceeding the number of supplies that they have for students and staff. And so the committee really has decided to wrap our arms around the Gamecock Pantry. They are lacking in terms of the time frame where they're lacking the most is October and the spring. And so we are planning to do most things in the spring. Next steps for us, Senator Sheelig and Senator Ludwig are reaching out about various partnerships and to gather more information. And we've come up with a potential branding that's called the Top 5 Drive. And so you'll be hearing more about that very, very soon. And so, and then Senator Hilson is creating a grid to help us with our inventory audit. We talked last time about reaching out to the rest of the senators to learn more about what's happening around the university in terms of community service and projects. And so we'll be unveiling that grid soon to collect more information. And our next meeting is September 15th, which is tomorrow at 9 a.m. in Burns. And if anyone would like to join us, the doors are all open. Thank you.
You all are looking for a good reason to come to Burns, right? Like everybody loves Burns. Yes. Did you have a question for Joe?
I just wanted to add to that. I am on that committee. I was at Gamecock Pantry maybe 2 weeks ago, and they are in desperately need of snacks and like flavored rice packets or pasta packets. They do not need pasta, like spaghetti, macaroni, and I don't think they really need a peanut butter either. So just keep that in the back of your mind if you go there.
Thank you so much. All right, our last committee is bylaws, the most exciting committee that we have. Keep it down. Stay in your seats, please.
It's the most exciting because nobody wants to be on it. There's only four of us. Anyways, Bo Hart from the Darla Moore School of Business, co-chair with Kim Rose, and I've got Priscilla and Barry also on our committee. We met on September the 1st. We have reviewed some suggestions and feedback from other senators. We also unanimously as a committee approved the name change of the staff policy and